All right, my friend. How about you? What's your number five?
I actually jumped and said Marshall. Again, as you said, it's the script. The script is the thing that ultimately bothers me. I do think that Chadwick at the time he said he wasn't interested so much in doing another biopic because he said I got tired of I'm becoming the biopic guy or I'm becoming the sports guy.
Yeah.
After a certain point in Hollywood too, it's like if you're a black artist in this industry and audiences like you, it was like Anthony Mackie was like right before Chadwick Boseman. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So like Anthony Mackie was like your go-to black man when it came to the biopics and when certain things like that. And
Yeah.
then Chadwick kind of became the safer bet as well. And I think a lot of his biopics were movies that, as you said, they were more meant for DVD or they were meant for kind of like Lifetime, but they were better.
Yeah.
He showed just this charisma,
Hmm.
this intellect, but again, I had no idea Thurgood Marshall was that funny. I did see Lawrence Fishburne's production of
Yes.
Thurgood on Broadway, and I didn't get a chance to meet Mr. Fishburne, but
You actually
he
saw
did.
it on stage?
Oh, you better believe I did, sir.
See, I only
Oh,
saw I only saw the taped version, the
you
DVD.
saw the tape version. Oh no, I saw it at the Booth Theater. I just moved to New York. I think at that point, I was in college. So yeah, I think about 2008, 2009, because that same year, I'm just bragging on myself because I'm in this, y'all. I actually went to the Tony Awards
Oh,
for the
brilliant.
first time. Yeah, I went to the Tony Awards and I had met people like Anne Hathaway and Raul Esparza were there that night because
Oh,
they were going to Shakespeare in the Park that
yeah.
summer. Audra McDonald and Will Swanson. I
Uh,
just I
see,
got up on stage and danced in a production of Hair when it was at the Delacorte Theater. Yeah, these stories you don't even
you
know.
never showed me this, man.
I know. Hey man, it's all live. Hey, it's on live and recorded now.
No.
I wanted your reaction.
No.
Storytelling, baby.
Oh my God.
You'll even get a kick out of this one because I know you would definitely make a great Hamlet. What if I told you that I actually got on stage at the Delacorte with the microphone in my hand and performed the "To Be or Not to Be" speech in front of a live audience?
I would have cried.
Oh, I definitely cried. I was more sad because the 9-year-old I was working opposite doing the speech with me just bodied me in the text.
Oh,
Why do you think I had to go? Why do you think I had to go to grad school? A 9-year-old was upstaging me at the Delacorte, son.
wow.
It wasn't right. It wasn't right. I'm supposed to know this. I'm Hamlet. You're Horatio. Why you got me looking like Horatio?
Oh
I
my
was barely even I was barely even looking like Horatio in that one.
God.
But getting back to it, yeah, Thurgood was. I had no idea that Mr. Marshall, Thurgood Marshall, was as funny as he was, and Chadwick really he bought that nuance, and especially that moment was like, "What do you have in this suitcase? Guns, Mr. Freeman." He gave that look. So it's like, what do you
Oh,
do? What are you doing? I'm taking the dirt with me. It's an old Negro saying that you take the soil of the earth with you wherever you go. Is that true? And then he just looks at him with a smile and grin. It's like, no. Yeah, I just didn't. He didn't get a chance to speak like
yeah,
as much.
exactly.
You got him outside the courtroom and he delivered, and
Right.
his
The
stance
fun.
and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, the final scene when he's on the phone and it's breaking up is just like we won. And he's, what, what, what? And the final when you hear it, it's just like we won. Like
he sold it, and then after that, hangs up the phone, and it's a victory. So you know what? I'm just gonna still be a rebel. I'm gonna go to the Whitewater Fountain and drink out of it because I
mm,
deserve it, and then I'm
exactly.
gonna go outside and I'm gonna get back to work. He
Hmm.
said it's. I think his character said it's the fire that I'm after.
Yeah.
His character like third, and I definitely think that I think that goes with Chadwick as well.
Yeah.
I think Chadwick Boseman was after the fire of what it is that we could do in this industry and the storytelling.
So my number five is actually the Five Bloods. It's
I,
it
I can I can respect that though. I respect where you're going with that though too, as being in your top five. That's good.
now Spike Lee is one of my absolute favorite filmmakers ever. His films have inspired me at such a young age already to go into performing arts. He was one of those extra voices, those extra examples that just made me like, oh snap. Like, this is getting my blood hot. And this film was no different, 100%. And of course, oh my God, I will speak this forever. Delroy Lindo was
Oh God.
unbelievably snubbed. Unbelievably snubbed. I thought
I
for
think,
sure.
yeah.
I thought
You
for sure.
thought he should have gotten, yeah, that. And you know, with Delroy, it's like he's been working for
So long.
so long. You know, he's not a newbie in this industry. Like he's done so much theater, film, and
Mhm.
TV. It's like a,
He has a body
it's
of
like,
work.
oh yeah, it's like looking at Willem Dafoe's resume. It's like,
Yeah.
man, what have you not done?
Yeah. He's worked with everybody. He's
Yeah,
been everybody.
everybody. And
Yeah.
I think with Delroy, what was so fascinating about him is I think Spike is the first like writer director in film that's really challenged Delroy
Mm,
to go to that place.
big
And I
time.
think for for every actor out here, it's like there was always that one scene or that one moment that inspired you to want to be a performer in some
Mm,
way. I always said, like, when you watch brother Denzel Washington and Malcolm X, or when you watch, Al Pacino in Dog Day Afternoon, or De
mhm.
Niro and Raging Bull, it's just this moment of just like, I want to do that. I want to transform like that. I want to cry and hit things, and I want to have big emotional explosions and cathartic moments like these guys have.
Yeah.
That your childhood comes out in you.
Exactly. And they're saying things that you yourself have been wanting to say. They have something, they have a voice, and they want their voice to be heard.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, especially with Delroy's monologue in that film. I was just like, oh my God, it was incredible. But on the
One
subject, you know,
and a one take one too.
one take,
That was a straight camera shot, one take tracking.
unbelievable. It was Shakespearean. It was Shakespearean to us as well. It's just like, oh, I can go all day about that. But yeah, on the subject of Boseman, man. So already knowing that, obviously he passed away before I even watched it, I was already just like, and he was already getting like good Oscar buzz for it as well. What you were touching on earlier, every scene he was in, I was just hooked. You felt that edge of Apocalypse Now. You felt that edge of Platoon in every single frame he was in, but with a mindset of hope in such a
Yes.
strained wasteland, right? I wish he would have gotten a double nomination. I really wish, because that would have been like the icing on the cake as far as like the completion of, last year of films coming out.
I feel like I might want to watch it tonight now. Thanks a lot, Alex.
That's what I'm here for. All right, man. So what's your number 4?
I'm gonna switch out of the movies for a second, and I'm gonna talk about television actually performance.
Nice. Okay.
This was when I first like encountered Chadwick Boseman. It
Mm.
was on a TV show called Lincoln Heights.
Oh yes, good old.
Yeah, it was Lincoln Heights. It was on ABC Family before they rebranded it into Freeform, just
Right.
like the WB used to be great before they rebranded it into the CW. The show called Lincoln Heights, actually, we're gonna go television. Chadwick had a decent body of television work. He did like a CSI New York. He did a couple other little bit parts on TV shows. But Lincoln Heights was like his first time that he got to really do a big arc on a TV show. He was a recurring guest character on the show. He was with a number of theater veterans.
Mm.
The leading men and women on the show, Russell Hornsby, who was in Fences with Denzel Washington,
Yeah.
along with the
Great.
new 50 Cent show, BMF. He actually played Nate Ray, who was actually Russell Hornsby's son from a previous relationship.
Mm.
And Chadwick was playing this young man who had just came back from war, and he was trying to, of course, get acclimated to the realities of living in the Heights. He wanted to become a cop. He got to get adjusted to being with a new family. And there was something about Chadwick was young at this moment. He was very hungry, but he tackled an issue that I think many of us didn't get a chance to see a lot on television unless we saw Army Wives.
Mm.
It's this idea of PTSD and what is it like to have PTSD as a Black man living in the heights of Los Angeles,
Right.
while also battling with getting to know your father for the first time, having 3 new siblings, continuing to stay connected with your mother, even though your mother lied to you. and finding these ways of forgiveness and finding these ways of love and like working through your trauma. That there was something about that performance that I do appreciate because I didn't get a chance to see many performances like that. And again, he was a young man. He had gone out to California to do Lincoln Heights, and then he had finished the run of that, and then he was going back to New York to do a play, and then he was going to start working on directing a film after that moment. So Chadwick was in the trenches of just being a working actor like you and myself right now.
Yeah.
But he just, you know, the time that he had, he made good with it with Lincoln Heights. Again, something that got swept under the rug. Lincoln Heights has been over for almost like 10 years, but it's one of those things where I got introduced to this guy for the first time, and he had this something about him. He wasn't just like everybody else that I've seen. You know, there's a number of actors who come on film and TV. You see him 1 second, you forget him the next second, but there was something about him, like he had an energy. He had that smile, man, you know,
Yeah.
that smile that's just, you know, just could you give me a blanket? You know, like what he did in Life. Man, that's yeah.
This might surprise you as well. So my number 4 is actually 42. So
I can see
42,
that.
I mean, honestly, because why it's number 4 for me is because I already am such a huge baseball fan anyway. So I grew up watching baseball. I grew up, not on Little League, actually played on, with teams with my friends, going out to the park and, going out, doing classes and all the time, just going out just to throw the ball and to, hit. I would go to the batting cages quite a bit when I was a kid. And so baseball, and plus, my very first job was at the baseball stadium in Las Vegas. That's where I met my wife, So baseball really has a close personal thing to my heart. So, seeing that they were making a movie about Jackie Robinson again, I was just like, oh, well, this is going to be great. I am pumped. And Harrison Ford is playing his manager. I'm in. I'm totally in.
Yeah.
The great savior of that, of course, is Harrison Ford, who is wonderful, and Boseman as Jackie Robinson. And I loved his work ethic, everything, because what you said earlier, all of his work ethic that he added and he put into Jackie Robinson and actually living him and doing all those stunts, working it because you're a real player of the game. And that's one of the biggest things that made me respect him so much. Just like he's willing to go that extra mile. He's willing to do this truthfully, and people will definitely say that, oh, it's like, oh, well, he's bringing back the big method, he's so method. He's such a method actor. And it's just like, he's being truthful.
I think, like you said, he took advantage of whatever he could do, and he really brought justice and dignity to what Jackie Robinson is. And I think also Chadwick did get the green light from the family of Jackie Robinson. That's another thing people don't seem to understand with this industry and how Hollywood works.
Right.
Yes, the Hollywood, the men and the women and the executives, they will get their money and they will do what they got to do to get the project made, especially if they believe in it. But you also have to get the family members' consent.
Exactly.
Because you're representing them just as much as you're representing the legacy of their parent. So Chadwick actually he got the green light from the family of Jackie Robinson. Like, okay, he works. He looks good. And I think he could definitely play our dad. And they said like Chadwick was able to really, those private moments that Jackie was battling with, just those moments of people wanting to kill him, people not seeing him as he really was, and all those struggles. Chadwick was able to really showcase that, especially, in the dugout scene, of course, where he just started, breaking down. It's like, I can't imagine being called the N-word and being treated with that level of disrespect and having to sit there and take it. We've all had to take a lot of disrespect, but that just, it crossed the line to the point where, you would have been eating that bad if you would have kept saying it to me. But again, that's of today's generation. That generation back then, it took a lot for somebody to walk away and just do the work.
And that's one of
work.
They let the work speak for it. Yeah. But that's one of my favorite lines. That is a very true quote. I want a player who's got the guts not to fight back, right? To be able to just move forward. You know what they're going to do. let them hate, let them spout the negative. Just do what you're there to do, right?
Yep.
Give it your best, right? And I was just like, wow.
And if you do your best, they will see. And I think for anybody who's like studying acting or studying arts or anything out here, I don't care what profession you're in, actually. The message I can definitely tell anybody out here now is focus on the work.
Mhm.
Don't focus so much on the glory. Don't focus on always the impact. Focus truly and solely on the work itself, and everything else will align itself. I promise. That's definitely a mantra that I'm going with now more than ever, because I actually think I read an article, I think it was in the Rolling Stones. It was Chadwick was on the cover at the time, and
Okay.
they talked a lot about how, when he moved from college from DC and he graduated, he moved to New York. He was working as a teacher, like most of us actors do when we get out of school. We work as instructors and whatever. He was creating plays with kids, but he was also struggling a little bit financially. But he was also with his friend, and they would do writing sessions. They would get with each other. They'd sit in each other's apartment. Chadwick barely could afford his rent, but he was doing it. Sometimes the guy was going on water cleanses and fasting. It wasn't like he was intending to, he was broke. But at the same time, he was focusing all of his energy and his attention on trying to get the best script. He was trying to work and develop and hone his skills. And when he didn't have the answers all the time, he would sometimes just pray, or he would commune with the gods, or he would just talk to the ancestors. There was something very spiritual and holy and grounded with this man, that he was able to always find the answer, but never seek or stop the process.
Mhm. Right.
And I would say for any actor or for any human being out here right now, never stop seeking the process of learning and getting better. Always know that the answer is within and the answer is out. You just have to keep seeking. Just know that there's always going to be other answers too.
Mhm.
But find out what works for you and keep doing the process. Fight back with the heart and the mind that you have, not always with the hate that other people give you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Oh God. That's beautiful, man. That's
Yeah.
absolutely
Thank
beautiful. What number are we on again? Number
We're
three?
on number 3 now.
Yeah.
Now, you're going to get me on. I feel like we're going to either agree and disagree on this one. My number 3 actually was Get On Up.
That's my number 3 as well. Boom.
Hey, give me another
Boom.
one. Just give me another one. Give me another one. Just,
Boom.
yeah, there we go.
Ah,
There we go. Yes.
we are
Yes.
so simpatico, man. We are
Yeah.
just on the wavelength.
Yeah. Yep.
Even though
By
you're
it,
thousands of miles away, we're right
we're
there.
we here with that one.
We're
You
here.
know what it? Yep. You know what it is. We've said it again and again. It's the script. It's always going to be the script.
It's always going to come down to the script. Yep.
But Get On Up, for a guy like Chadwick, who this was like probably his next biggest movie, he was very intimidated. He was still a little green,
Mm-hmm.
but his ability to embody James Brown, his ability to say, no, you can't just give me the part. I actually need to test this
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know if I can play him.
Right.
It's that fear of like, it's that I don't know if I'm actually James Brown or if I can embody this man the way you think. So Chadwick, like, really, he worked with he worked with the choreographer. Chadwick Boseman's not a dancer, as he says. He's not much of a dancer. So he
Yeah.
worked with a choreographer to really get James's moves down and study that. He worked with the prosthetics and the makeup artists and whatnot. He perfected James's walk to the point where even James's grandchildren and great grandchildren, they started calling Chadwick granddaddy on set. Like Chadwick was like, it had to get to that point where people could really believe that I was James Brown.
Exactly. And it worked. It worked so well. That was the beautiful. Yeah, that was the beautiful thing where Dan Aykroyd, even, who was in there playing his recording executive, and you know, obviously he knew James Brown. He worked with him in Blues Brothers. Heck.
Oh yes.
So
Oh, without a doubt.
he knew when Dan Aykroyd had said himself, when he closed his eyes and he heard him speak, it was just like, it literally felt like James Brown was in the room.
And that's another thing. You listen to how Chadwick, Chadwick's a very, hey, he kind of speaks, he kind of talks, it's like a New Yorker, but at the same time, he's kind of a Southern. So he kind of has to understand when he's talking like that, like he's kind of like that when he talks.
It's
when he
so
talks, but when he was James Brown, it was that energy in the voice. I know he realized, like, James is kind of he's out here when he's talking.
Yeah.
What is it? I was like, let me tell you. Well, and then when he found those moments of softness with Mr. Brown, tell me something, Rich. What do you see? Look at just that feeling of it was a focus. Chadwick was laser focused when he was playing James Brown. I could feel it. And then for me, what always got me, it was when he got older.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that was when I was like, yo, I see James. We talk about those performances that change your life, and we talk about those moments where the actor and the character merge. I really felt like when I saw Chadwick as older James, he had gotten out of jail, he cleaned up his act a little bit. When he was going to the stage and he was walking, I saw it. I couldn't see Chadwick anymore. I couldn't see where the character end and Chadwick would begin, or where Chadwick would end and the character would begin. I started seeing those worlds merge together, and it was powerful as hell.
Oh, so
and then just that feeling too, what Chadwick was able to show. James was an entertainer. James was good. He was very good, one of the best.
Yeah.
But you saw also that Mr. Brown was a very tortured man too. He was very paranoid. He didn't always trust a lot of people. He went through a lot in his life.
Yeah.
And he was a hustler, and he was always thinking ahead. He didn't know always what he was doing, but he had a feeling. It was an impulse. And I think that was similar to brother Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick, I think, was about the same. Chadwick was a guy like, it's a feeling.
Exactly.
It's a work ethic, but it's a feeling. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Baby. Baby. Without a woman altogether.
Let's sing James Brown all day now.
I could. He's got it. Imagine James Brown in a versus battle right now. Couldn't nobody really beat his catalog.
No.
Well, it would have been fun to see James Brown and Little Richard do a versus battle today. God, that would be fun.
Oh, that would have
been two different artists without a doubt. But think about the live bands that they would have together, and then you can imagine like James and Little Richard just getting together and just jamming at the end with each other.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been so great. It's like, and it's only something that a hologram really can't do. You have to you have to have them,
dog. Yeah, you have to have them together. It's I know we're getting off topic, but it's like that. It's like Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak right now with Silk Sonic. It's like those guys separate are fantastic. They both have such great energy, but when they come together, their energies complement each other so much that, man, they can make anything. So you imagine with like a James Brown and a Little Richard coming together with that feeling is, and I know those two knew each other in real life, so it's like, man, I can imagine the conversations and the jam sessions and the ideas that those two were like throwing at each other, just before it all.
Yeah. So great. But and I'll just mention this. Yeah, what's crazy is that because I was, and looking back on all of that, what we talked about earlier of how Chadwick Boseman didn't want to be put in a almost like a box of being the biopic guy, right? He was really becoming the generation's Paul Muni. If all of you don't know who Paul Muni was, he was one of the biggest actors from the 30s and who actually started in theater. And he was then like the go-to biopic guy. He played Louis Pasteur, he played Emile Zola. He had all these fantastic performances, and I can't wait to cover him on this channel as well, because he's mind blowing. He's the original Scarface, as well.
I did not
But
know that.
from 1932. Yep. Original
Wow.
Al Pacino saw that movie and he was like, I want to do that. Like, yep, I want to do that. I want to do that. But so good. But he was the biopic guy at that time. Like, they went to him to do all these things. And I felt that way how Chadwick Boseman was going, right? But that's why I look back on all the performances that he did give, especially with this one. It was just beautiful. That's one of the biggest things I could really just appreciate. And I think, same thing on the script as well. It could have been 10 times better. To me, it felt like they were trying so much to make it like Ray. Like they wanted so much to, kind of just have that same, feel to it, which is great. I love Ray so much.
Yeah.
But like you could have done so much more script wise that would make it, speak more. There are so many scenes of Get On Up that I do love, especially when he's in the room and he's talking about, and everyone is complaining about pay, Craig Robinson, one of the leaders of it. And I just love everything of how he, so good.
And
so great.
And you know what it is too? I think when you watch Get On Up, because it mirrors and dovetails our last two movies, and I know you and I both know the movies we're gonna say. We'll see, but I think we know. I think we know. Yeah. But I think what you see in Get On Up, and I think it actually goes with an actor's true ability. I don't have to always like you. Yeah. Like it's weird. Movie stars, they feel like you have to like them. That's how their charisma and their charms and everything. It's like I have to turn that on, but it's like you have to like me. I'm Tom Cruise or I'm Will Smith. I'm George Clooney. I'm George Clooney. But the reality is, if you're playing a character, not everybody's a very likable person. Actually, some people you just want to downright punch in the face sometimes. Not intentionally, but it's just who they are. And I think what Chadwick showed with James too, because he showed the private side of Mr. Brown. Mm-hmm. James Brown could be a little annoying. Yeah. James Brown could be a little bit of a diva. James Brown didn't always have the answers, and he didn't feel as though he had to speak up or tell you what you needed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I'm the star. Do what I tell you and trust me. Because, when you work with me, you're going to go far. Mm-hmm. But just remember that I'm number one. I'm the money.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
But how about that? He's three-dimensional,
It's an obsession.
Yeah.
To become successful, it's an obsession to perfect it. Mm-hmm. And
we'll never achieve perfection, but you'll always be on the path to accomplish it. And that's just the most important, is that you are willing to discipline yourself every single day to be better and better and better. And I could just think back on all the times and the days, weeks, and months where Chadwick Boseman was training with dancing and singing, all to inhabit James Brown.
They even said, like, sometimes they would go out to dinner with Chadwick and he would just James Brown was just known for that dancing. So his like the feet movement and everything, Chadwick was doing that. Yeah, Chadwick was doing that even in his downtime. And for any actor out here, when you're really trying to immerse yourself in the work that you do to make it believable, you can't help it. Your character and you start to morph together. There's always a little bit of your character in you, and then there's always a little bit of you in your character. Mm-hmm. So in your downtime, you'd be surprised, like, wait, why are my feet moving like this all the time? And why am I always speaking like this? And why am I always doing this? I think that happened. I was playing a South African school teacher in a production called My Children, My Africa, written by
one of my favorite performances ever from you.
Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you, man. And like, I found myself.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I just have to say he was brilliant in that play. He was absolutely brilliant. I just have to say.
I appreciate that. I'm very humbled that I won another crack at that one. That was, but at the time, I just remember I'm like, why am I talking in this? Why am I talking in the South African accent? I'm not even doing a well accent right now, too. I just found myself having days in classes where I was talking in my accent, or I was taking more leadership and ownership and trying to like fill the space with love and energy like my character. You just can't help it,
Can't
especially
help.
when,
It's
yeah,
habit. Yeah.
it's habit. And
Hmm.
again, with acting, it's the yin and yang, and we talked about method acting too. It's always inhabit the things that you do and give it everything that you got, but never forget we telling a story, baby.
Yeah.
We playing dress up and make believe with our friends. We're taking it seriously, but at the end of the day, we're not gonna kill nobody. This is just acting.
Exactly.
This is
Exactly.
love.
It's just love. We are having fun. We are
We are
having
having fun.
this is fun time.
Yeah,
And
this
we
is
get compensated for it. It's amazing.
one of the one of the best quotes I think my classmate Derek Riley once said
Yeah.
is the coolest thing about what we do is I am going to school and getting a master's degree and getting paid to play dress up, pretend, and make believe with my friends. Ain't America great?
God bless America.
Everybody.
You tell me first. What is number 2 for you?
Number two, I'm going to go with Black Panther.
Oh my God, that's it.
Yeah, I switched myself at this one because I was
Really?
just like, yeah. All
Yeah.
right, so technically, I
I, I
wanted to
and I
make,
and I will share too. My top 2 were very difficult. It was very difficult.
yeah, they were very difficult. See, here's the deal, because we're going to go on number one and eventually anyway.
Yeah.
But the deal with Black Panther versus the other film that we will talk about, Chadwick Boseman subverted the world's expectations and made every kid who was white, black, brown, Spanish want to be a king of Africa and a superhero.
Yeah.
Like he he walked with this poise. He had this demeanor. He was a kick-ass king, but more importantly, T'Challa was a leader of
Mhm.
men and women, but he respected everybody. He saw the value in everything. He was willing to be. He was stubborn. Don't get it twisted. The stubbornness was very subtle, but T'Challa was a stubborn man.
Mhm.
But T'Challa was a man who saw the value in everything and other things.
Mhm.
You notice it in the battle sequence with M'Baku, who was played brilliantly by Winston Duke.
Yeah.
You know, T'Challa was this man, he was this young prince who had the royalty treatment and he had the food and he had this life and he had this education and everything. Whereas M'Baku, Winston Duke's character, lived on the mountain. It's
Mhm.
cold, it was
Yeah.
snowing. They didn't have the qualities of King T'Chaka and his children and the warriors and everything.
Mhm.
But T'Challa never let his anger get the best of his. I guess you could say he never let the anger get the best of the truth.
Honestly, and I've thought about this, really I have. As far as like every film within the Marvel canon. And as you know, I've never really been such a huge fan of the Marvel films. Never been such a huge fan. I do love them. I have fun with them. I'm entertained amazingly by them. They're great. Uh, but and I still haven't seen every single Marvel film because my God, there's so many, you know.
Too
But
many.
but I've seen like majority of all of them. Like all the superheroes, like with their own film, I've seen every single one, and obviously the other other films, etc. But with that being said, all the films within the Marvel canon, I would honestly say this was probably my favorite of all Marvel films because there is such a wholesomeness to Black Panther that I've never experienced before in any other Marvel film, and a wholesomeness that I haven't really seen in films in such a long time when it came out. And obviously the hype was huge. Everyone was so pumped about it. And I was just like, oh, I cannot wait. And then when I saw it, I didn't want to believe in hype. I wanted to believe in like the quality, right?
Of
So I
course.
went and I was just like, God, everything surrounded this film was just epic, just unbelievably epic. And I was just blown away, mainly because of how much, I guess you could say, yes, a lot was riding on Chadwick Boseman for this movie, right? As far as like, okay, he's got his own film as Black Panther. How is he going to be able to carry it,
Pull it
right?
off. Yeah.
And he carried it with such amazing strength. I believe he had to have that stubbornness, within him, and he had to be able to like stay one track, stay on the mindset.
Because it's about the people.
Mhm.
I am a king. I am not a king of all people. I am a king of Wakanda.
Exactly.
I have to lead the people of Wakanda.
Mm-hmm. And another thing, I love what they did with the film. Beautiful shot, beautifully. Ryan Coogler. Oh my God, I hope to work with you one day. But
We'll speak it to existence, brother. It can and will happen.
yes, but they and all the special effects team, like talking about the film itself, beautiful. Like Wakanda, like I wanted to be there. I wanted to be there with everybody. And it was just like I was blown away by everything that they put into that film and the strength of the ensemble. Oh my God, it was great. When you have Michael B. Jordan just killing it, when you have freaking Angela Bassett, when you have
Nyong'o,
yes, Winston
Duke, yeah, Daniel Kaluuya,
and Andy Serkis popping up in there. Oh my God.
Well, and I think what you're getting at too, in Martin Freeman as well, what you're describing with Black Panther, I think you're describing cultural pride. It is a movie that really, it leans into what it is. It doesn't question what it is. It respects what it is, and it wants to amplify what it is.
Exactly.
And I think that you'll never really find that with many of the Marvel films, because I don't think the Marvel films are rooted in that. The Marvel films are rooted often in people trying to figure out who and what they are. But this Marvel film, it knows exactly what it is. They know. Even Chadwick, I think Chadwick mentioned it in a Hollywood Reporter roundtable interview. He said, this is the first character I played where it's like, he knows who he is. He can't be swayed away from who he is. He knows who he is culturally. He knows where he comes from. He knows the roots. He is well versed and educated in anything that you give to him.
It just exploded off the screen that by the time I left and you hear, all the stars playing in the back, I was just like, oh.
Chadwick, again, being such a great artist that he is and a collaborator, he's very good at challenging his fellow artists and collaborators to go a step above what they think. So I'll give you an example. When Ryan Coogler was working on the script, I think Chadwick had challenged Ryan and Michael B's character in that final scene where T'Challa says, perhaps we can still heal you, or maybe we can still heal you. Now, technically, you can be like, oh yeah, maybe we can heal him. We can keep Killmonger around. Maybe we can give him a chance to redeem himself and all that. But it's almost like, no. What if this person knew exactly what they did, and if they lost, they would accept the loss?
Right.
And you see what Killmonger experienced. He said, why? So you can lock me up? Nah. Just bury me in the ocean, you know what I'm saying? Where my ancestors jumped ship because they knew that death was better than bondage.
Right.
That is a challenge to the system. And that's a challenge to the pride in the fight. So Killmonger, in some way, even though he lost, he won.
He won, yeah. Right.
You now know who I am. You now recognize that there are Black and brown people all over the world trying to fight against the oppressors. You all need to stop sitting in Wakanda protected and safe, and you need to go out here and help, because there are people who look just like you who need to be liberated, not just with weapons, but they need to be liberated intellectually. They need to know that something and someone represents them and can fight on behalf of them when they don't have the resources to fight for themselves.
Right.
So yes, Killmonger, if you look at it as a challenge, and I think it's a test to Chadwick Boseman and his collaboration with Ryan Coogler, it's what they did. They wrote and challenged the system, and they won. It's a combination, Alex, at the end of the day, of like the writing, storytelling, the actors, the creative team, all these different things truly came together and changed the culture for at birth.
So apparently, there's been a lot of talk of, I guess, petitioning of recasting of the role of T'Challa.
T'Challa, yeah.
Yeah, excuse me. And potentially bring in just a new actor to play this role. I'd love to hear, like, what are your thoughts? Should they or should they not?
I believe that what Chadwick Boseman brought to the table is brilliant and no one can ever replicate it. Now, I do believe Chadwick was also a team player. I do believe that he always knew what the bigger picture was. It wasn't always about him. So I do believe that, yes, you could have brought in a new Black Panther. You could have brought in a new actor to play T'Challa. Now, because we are dealing with Marvel and we're in the multiverse now,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to exactly bring T'Challa in. You could bring somebody in who's like an iteration of T'Challa, but a new T'Challa.
Mm-hmm.
You can still get away with that without compromising who Chadwick Boseman was, what he brought to T'Challa. But again, I know it's complicated.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like, I think the fans want to see more Black Panther, but also we have no problem with seeing a female Black Panther. We have, in the comics, it says that too. We have no problems exploring other options, but I don't think that one person should stop a vision for something great because they were a part of the vision.
Mm-hmm.
They were maybe even a key in the vision, but they weren't the vision.
Right.
They helped to enhance the vision.
Mm-hmm. Bring
I
this
think
vision to life.
bring this vision to life. So now that the vision is now alive, how do you keep it alive?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think that's what breaks my heart about his death. It's like the man was really just getting started. Like
Exactly.
he was finding the right scripts, he was getting with the right collaborators, his energy and his aura was really coming on the screen like that. The people was recognizing what this guy could bring to the table.
Mm-hmm. Well, but at the same time, you'll have someone who is so deeply inspired, who is so deeply just on fire by their example and what they left behind, that they will work just as hard and hopefully harder
Yes.
for themselves to be
Yes.
the best version of themselves, so that they'll leave behind a body of work that they'll be, just as inspirational. And
Oh, without a doubt.
the circle continues. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Beautiful.
well,
And all of this, Chadwick Boseman, he brings us out of us.
he brings us out of us, and he brings us pride, he brings us culture, he brings us hope of a brighter future,
Mhm.
all while battling stage 3 and stage 4 cancer.
Yes. Unbelievable. For 4 years, he was battling all that.
The biggest height of his career, Civil War, Marshall,
The Five
the
Bloods, uh,
Five Bloods, Endgame,
21 Bridges.
Infinity War, 21 Bridges, all these movies, this gentleman was battling cancer and still showing up and giving and being of service.
Mm-hmm. Everything.
Service to storytelling, he was lifting himself and lifting other people up along the way.
Which will bring me now to our number one. And I believe we know what it is. Shall we say it at the same time?
Yes, sir.
Number one is
Mal Rainey's
Black
Black
Bottom.
Bottom. There you go.
No, it's like this technology, it throws us off.
Yeah,
Damn
it's always like looping us. Yep.
Yep. But yes, man. And this one, like I said, the top two were extremely hard for me just because of how much love I have for Black Panther. But this had to be number one for me just because this one left me the most saddened. Honestly, honest to God. Just because one, already in love with August Wilson's work. Everything I've read, and which we did. UNLV did 7 guitars while I was an undergrad there, and that was the first time I ever read that play. And honestly, it was the first time I ever was exposed to August Wilson's work. And then seeing Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, it just made me even more saddened, because alone he gave Levy such an arc, such a performance. So it was just like, oh my God, like after this, like he could have done so many amazing things. He could have done so many theatrical adaptations, so much more, that he would have just been even more inspirational to more, future generations. I was like, oh, left me so sad. But that's what made me fall in love so much with his character and all the choices of which, we understood his ambitions. We understood, what he wanted out of life. Right. And I think that's just one of the saddening things of just, knowing just what could have came out of it.
Levy is one of those characters. When I never got to see Ma Rainey's Black Bottom on stage. I did go to Lincoln Center one day when I was doing research on August Wilson. I sat and I watched a couple productions. So I got a chance to see a production or a revival of some sort of Ma Rainey. I think actually I might have saw the original production starring Charles S. Dutton.
Wow. Oh my God.
And I think Samuel Jackson understudied as Levy as well. So, Sam Jackson's story was like, this was at the time when Sam Jackson was fairly addicted to drugs, but he was a solid working actor in New York at the time. He talked a lot about how he couldn't stand listening to Charles do the role every night because he always missed something. I've been that understudy before, so I know the feeling.
Yeah.
But when you watch Ma Rainey's Black Bottom on stage versus how they adapted it on camera, yeah, Ma is such a powerful character, but it is true. Levy is the other. And Levy's story is just, it punches you in the face. It's heartbreaking. All of August Wilson's characters are heartbreaking. Everybody gets a monologue or a moment in every one of his plays, which is what I love about his writing. Everybody bleeds.
Everybody bleeds. Everybody has such a vulnerable spot. They have such a vulnerable spot to where they can,
don't you like. And what Levy to me was, he was a young man who literally just said, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and don't come for me, because otherwise I have to come for you. And you're not gonna stop this train from running.
Yeah.
So Levy was one, and such pain. I really such. And I think what Chadwick was able to bring to that at the time too, because I can tell he was in a vulnerable place himself, between chemotherapy, between the hustling and bustling, between trying to have your career, your family, everything. It's like, that was a very vulnerable place for an artist to be at that stage in their career and that stage in their life. For a character like Levy to have to see these bad men rape and hurt his mother, to stab and hurt him, to have his father killed, to grow up pretty much without anything, to have to pull himself up by his bootstraps to survive in a time during the Great Migration. It's a huge thing to watch. And when you watch this man, I always say, man, that scene where he says that, turn your back on me, God, when he's holding the knife, it plays so differently on stage than it does on camera, but you feel it more on camera, because you could see this man breaking down, just like, God, you could kiss my ass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Fuck you, almost, pretty much. Forgive my language, everybody. But that's that's the subtext of what Levy was going through. And I actually watched something on Netflix where they talked about Chadwick, and I think they talked about Ma Rainey. And they were saying how, if you actually look at Chadwick's script, Chadwick was really big at, like an artist, he wrote in the script and he talked about it. And I think he used to say, they out to get me. They were out to get me, conspiracy. It's like Levy was, don't trust nobody. And
Yeah.
you can kind of see it with that character. It's like, I don't trust anybody. I'm using Ma the same way she's probably using me right now. I'm using all of y'all the same way. Y'all are my friends, but at the same time, I'm gonna get mine
Mm-hmm. Come
one
hell or
way or
high water.
another, from hell
Yep.
or high water. And I love that. I think they said, I don't know if it was written in the script, it was adapted by Ruben Santiago Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the scene where Levy is going to the owners of the recording studio because he's trying to sell the music, or he thinks he's going to get a deal.
Right.
They of course renege on the deal, and when you watch it, you notice that Levy, when he's stepping up, he's still below.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when he doesn't get the deal that he hopes to get, and they pretty much shortchange him, you can see the disappointment, almost like a child, on his face. But he's still like, the camera's kind of still looking down on him, as opposed to, because with camera angles, when something's up, it's kind of like powerful, but when
Yep.
something's down, it's
Down.
it's looking down. And that's what they show with Levy. And I think it was Chadwick's idea that they do the scene on the step, and that he be a step beneath,
Right. It shows the
because it's like,
inferiority almost too.
yeah,
Yeah.
even though he's trying to step up to the next step,
Mm-hmm.
he's down. And then that final moment, he's knocked down even further. He doesn't know how to deal with disappointment. So what does he do? He lets his anger get the best of him, and he kills. It was an accident, but he let it get the best of him,
Let the emotions take over. Yeah.
take over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think what it was is, like I said, you didn't like Levy all the time, but you understood Levy. You saw the pain in Levy. It was by far the purest, most painful Chadwick Boseman performance I've ever seen.
Exactly.
And I agree with you. Yeah, it would have been like, God, the roles that would have been coming his way after that, and even with him and George C. Wolfe, I know him and George C. Wolfe were talking about other things. Like, I know there were some collaborations coming.
Oh yeah. To go back to that scene, what you were talking about with the knife, it was literally Shakespearean. How it was set up. Because that's
Which how August was too. August knew Shakespeare.
Yeah. He well versed in it, understood
Yes.
every single bit. And that was the beautiful thing about that. And you could see it off the screen. Because so many people have talked about, like, as a film, it just felt so confined. It was so tight. It's just like you felt like it was a play. It's like,
It is a play.
But it is a play. Hello. Yeah, I can understand the dilemma there. It's like trying to make a play more theatrical, right? How do you bring this to the screen? I still think they did a phenomenal job with it, because there are plays where you adapt it for the screen that work beautifully in that way. Having it so confined, honestly, I think is such a compliment. Hello, it's a recording studio, and hello, it's in a tight space. And what do you get when you have tight spaces? You have tension. You have things that are growing, especially with a man like Levy, with ambitions, with dreams. He wants the whole world, right? But he's in this box. He's in this studio. Perfect example.
And he's in this box. He's in the studio. Most importantly, he's in the world that he's trying to shine in even more.
Right.
He's in a recording studio, so it's like, yo, let me showcase my skills so that I'm trying to get a deal.
Yeah, it's like I got to have more of the trouble here. It's like, who are you?
Yeah, it's like, exactly. That's what Ma was often telling him. It's like, Levy, you're Levy. I get what you're trying to do, but know your place and fall in line, because at the end of the day, I worked and earned and fought to get exactly where I am. Betsy and all these other blues musicians that you're seeing, they copied my style.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn something from me, Levy, if you try, but unfortunately, Mama ain't around no more for you. Daddy ain't around for you. Levy ain't had nobody.
Mm-hmm. No.
Mm-hmm. And shouts out also. I know we're talking about Brother Chadwick, but I will always give a shout out to that cast and Viola Davis. Like,
100%.
What a transformative performance, and her and Chadwick and everybody's ability to speak August's dialogue and monologues on camera, keeping the camera on them being in that zone of speaking the text. I think they even said with Chadwick, they were rehearsing, and I think like Chadwick did something, and they just went into that first monologue. You know, the monologue where Levy got to be Levy.
Yeah.
Don't,
Yeah.
I did this and I did this and I did this. And I think like they were rehearsing and it just happened naturally.
Yeah.
And then the actors were just, they got sucked in.
Mm-hmm. They were
Like Coleman, yeah, Mike, yeah, they were captivated. But that's what August's work will do to you. And people don't realize it. It's like the monologues, you think the monologues are coming out of left field, but they're not. It's like, if you antagonize me long enough, I'm going to tell you like it is, and you need to listen
Yeah.
because I ain't going to explain this again.
Mm-hmm.
And, in most of Levy's monologues, if you actually read Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, his monologues are at least about 5 to 7 pages.
Oh yeah, they're huge.
Yeah, huge pieces
They're
of
O'Neill.
thought.
They are
Yes.
O'Neill level. It's incredible.
And remember, August used to go to the Eugene O'Neill conference all the time and work and develop his 10-play cycles between the Eugene O'Neill, between Pittsburgh, between Yale Repertory Theater and Broadway. August Wilson always had places and people to shop and work his material with and on and around. So it's a privilege and an honor to get to do August Wilson's work. And honestly, not everybody can do it.
No.
Unfortunately, and they don't really teach him as they teach him in schools, but I don't feel like they perform him enough in other institutions. I feel like only the certain Black institutions will do his work. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I want that to happen, but God, I really would have liked in my institutions like Pace University or or UNLV, like, man, I wish we could have gotten to do another August Wilson piece because I think we had the chops, we had the talent,
Absolutely.
we had the crews.
Yeah.
We needed more of the bodies
Mm-hmm.
as
Absolutely.
Black actors. But yeah, August is he's a mountain,
Mm-hmm.
and only a few of us can climb it. And Chadwick really showed you what it's like to climb the mountain of August Wilson.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. He really should have won the Oscar for Best Actor for that performance. I love Anthony Hopkins with all my heart. Sir Anthony Hopkins. He was
Sir
absolutely
Anthony.
brilliant in The Father. He was wonderful.
I'd never seen Anthony Hopkins cry on camera until I saw that movie. I was like, is Anthony Hopkins shedding tears?
Right.
What? He's so hard. I'd never seen Anthony Hopkins cry.
Yeah, he's hard bitten. He's a straight laced, strong, confident Englishman. But yeah, it was beautiful performance. But honestly, I think the way that Chadwick Boseman just be able to shine through August Wilson's work and be able to embody Levy and take us through that whole journey, and it would have completed the whole body of work that Chadwick Boseman left behind. As we've talked all through the top 10 here, we've talked all about just the principles that he lived by. And I think, everyone who's watching this channel, everybody, 100%, you need to see more of his work. Make sure, and I know every single person will, because his legacy has been so strong. It's left behind so much and has continued to inspire so many students, so many artists to this day. And I actually just rewatched his commencement speech that he gave at Howard University. Yes, oh my God, it was unbelievably. It was a cry fest.
I knew of the speech. I'd seen the speech. I was having one day I had to go to work about 6 a.m. So I was like very tired. I didn't have any energy. And I remember I just put on the speech. And most people, when they do commencement speeches, especially when they're about to get the honor of receiving a PhD, you start thinking to yourself, man, oh man, you better prepare a great, great, great speech. What Chadwick did, you could tell he prepared his speech. But what he did most importantly, he allowed himself to speak from a place of truth, from the soul. You notice he was kind of bouncing all over the place, but the intention was still there.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. And I think most importantly with that speech, you saw this man telling you with pride in his heart, you will get knocked down. You will not always understand. you will be discouraged. You might even feel as though you deserve certain things when you don't. But you must also look at it as an opportunity and a process to never let yourself get discouraged. Because at the end of the day, you're going to come across a Muhammad Ali or hero that's going to give you a moment that's going to tell you, hey, keep your fist up, keep your head up, keep throwing the jabs, continue to stand on that mountain, continue to recognize your worth, continue to seek the questions, continue to ask the questions. But most importantly, what I always love about Chadwick Boseman, and I carry it with me in 2022 now, never be afraid to reach in the depths of your soul to find your truth and your culture. Live in it all.
Yeah.
And love it. I could tell the man loved it. He loved his people. He loved
it. Yeah.
He embraced it. He embraced it all. And that is what it's about. Embrace it all. Love it all. Lose it all. Live through it. Love life. You're building a wall. You're securing and building a foundation brick by brick by brick by brick. And when it's done, and even when you're going through the struggles of it, Alex, and audiences, always remember, I'm quoting Will Smith in his book on this one, stop worrying about the damn wall. Your job is to lay a brick one at a time, one brick on top of the next brick, on top of the next brick, on top of the next brick. And when it's all done, you should be able to look at your work and you should be able to say, I achieved something, but not only I achieved this great thing, what did I learn? And I think some of us don't want to do that. We sometimes say, oh, I'm making excuses about this and this. It's like, no, don't make excuses. Make an assessment. What did you do that got you to here?
Right.
It's going to be different, whatever you do next.
Yep.
But just know, what did you do? Where was your mind? Where was your heart? Where was your spirit? What made you step up when you felt defeated to keep building the wall? To lay, and what did you do that kept you building the foundation? Do you feel like if that happens again, or will you allow that to happen to you again? It's your life, your choices, your rules, your soul, your chance. Take it or give it to the next man. I think I like to take my chance.
I think so. What is it that that I loved, even what Jim Carrey said, when his father, passed away, that he lost his job in accounting, in which he said, you know what? Turns out you can actually fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take the chance on doing something that sets you ablaze, right? Oh, gosh.
Oh yeah. That was also a great commencement speech as well.
Yeah. This was absolutely incredible. This was so much fun. I had so much fun, and I've taken everything of which you've talked about, that we've talked about, Stephon, and I'm this makes me hungry even more, makes me energized and just pumped, especially for you, for myself, for all of us throughout this next year. And it's going to be incredible. And all, obviously, what brought us together, love, but also the amazing memory of Chadwick Boseman, which, man, may he rest in peace. His legacy will live on forever. Wakanda forever. I'd love for you guys to list in the comments below if there were any films that we missed, apparently, or what are some of your favorite performances by the amazing Chadwick Boseman. Please list in the comments below. We love to hear your thoughts over and over again. If you like this, please click like, and do not forget to subscribe and ring the bell as well to stay updated for more content to come. But I want to give a huge shout out and thanks to you, my good friend Stephon Pettway, for stepping in. Thank you so much, brother. I love you so very, very, very much. You guys, and all writers, directors, casting directors, please check out his website, stephonpettway.com. You'll find a lot of his work there, so you'll be able to work with this amazing man. He's going to bless any single production, any single film that you do. And so you'll be blessed heavily by his work. So had to throw that out there, man. Had to. My pleasure, man. Hey, thank you so much again, man. And hey, you guys have a safe year. Make great choices. Be safe. And love you so much. Take care.
All right.